Hey guys, how are we doing today? It's Cryo, and today I wanted to make a little bit of a YouTube video all about bank organization. I looked on YouTube a little bit ago just to see if somebody had done a video kind of like this, and there's a few that are named bank organization, but it's really just people showing you how their bank is organized, or it's a supremely sped up video showing you, without commentary I might add, how they organize their bank, and it doesn't really go into any explanation or anything. So I decided that I would make one kind of explaining more in detail about how you can organize your bank and some of the benefits of it, some of the drawbacks of it, of which there's like one. And that one happens to be the only time waster. But in all honesty, the pros heavily outweigh the cons, because one of the pros is that it's going to save you a shit ton of time in the long run. So let's just jump right into it. If I come back here to my bank, let's open it up and see what we've got. As you can see, I've got quite a messy bank. It's not as messy as a lot of you guys is, and I know that, but it's still quite hideous. Especially this third tab there, it's absolutely wretched. I've got a few that are pretty organized, and stuff like that right there is just absolutely terrible. And yeah, you guys can see how terribly organized my bank is, and I wanted to show you guys how to go about fixing it. Alright, so when most people think about starting to clean their bank out, the first thing that they always say is, I don't know where to start. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you right off the bat. Starting is probably the hardest part because, one, in my opinion, the best way to clean your bank and make it look good is to destroy it. And what I mean by that is all these tabs up here, just go ahead and collapse all of them one by one, and make sure that everything is just into this infinity tab, the very first tab, and we will go from there. There we go. As you can see, I'm down to one tab only. It's just the tab 1, and this is just a giant collage of disgusting bank. And now the time has come to start reorganizing the bank. And you want to start out with the basics. You don't want to decide exactly how you want your bank set up for sure, because you're never going to get there if you do it that way. So the best way to do it is to decide what you want in specific tabs instead. A general idea works. You can always tweak these later. So let's say we want an armor tab. So we're going to put everything that we can wear in one tab. Let's go with a weapons tab. So we're going to put all that into another tab. Maybe we want, let's see, maybe we want a skilling tab, so we can put our gold ore in there, and we'll put all the other ores in there later. And you want to do this for all but one tab. You want to leave one tab at the end, and I will explain why you want that here in just a little bit. Now, don't worry too much about which order you're putting your tabs in right now, because you can take them and drag and drop them, put them wherever you want, and it's very easy to do that now. And so you don't have to worry about what order you put the tabs in. You no longer have to destroy the entire bank again if you want to reorganize your bank a little bit, because Jagex has given us the option to kind of swap places of things a little bit and do it that way. So get your first 8 tabs completed. Well, no, maybe not even completed. Just get at least one item in each of them. And that way you have a basic idea of what you would like your bank to look like tab by tab. Alright, I've gone ahead and completed that, so if we scroll all the way down here, you can see that it's a pretty messy bank until you get right down here, and I've got one in each tab, except for the very 9th tab, which, like I said, you should leave empty for now. I will explain that in just a little bit, but now that you've got one item in each of those, you have a very basic idea of what you would like in each of these tabs. So you want a weapons, armor, maybe a skilling tab, something about magic, maybe your teleports, things like that could go in there, maybe even rune crafting, who knows? If you don't want to put that in like a skilling tab or something, you've got a summoning tab, you've got a potions, maybe a food tab, and I personally like to have another tab specifically for maybe drops or maybe some clue scrolls, things like that. So that's what I did with my last tab. You can do whatever you want with your tabs, just have a very basic idea of what you would like in them. And once you've got that taken care of, you want to go through your bank and just click on all the things that you see that would fit in one of your tabs. Like here, I'm grabbing a bunch of armor, and I'm going to put all of that into my armor tab. So if we just fill up our inventory on armor, it doesn't really matter if it's organized at this point in time. We will get more into that here in just a little bit, so don't worry too terribly much about that. if you do have your sets, together, are obviously grab those together. But if you don't worry too much about it. Just get your inventory full. That's the main thing, because it's faster than dragging and dropping one by one. So once you get your inventory full, just click on whichever tab you want those items to go in and hit that button to empty your whole backpack. It'll transfer all that stuff over, and you want to do that for each of these tabs. And if there's some items that you miss, don't worry too much about it. It's not a big deal. All you have to do is let them sit, and as this tab grows smaller and smaller, you'll catch more items that maybe you missed the first time around, so don't worry too much about it. And that's done. Now that we've got a whole junky ass tab still here, but a lot smaller, granted, it is a lot smaller of a tab 1 now, even though we've still got a lot of items in there, which is to be expected because a lot of these items aren't really going to fit in with some of your tabs, as well as some of them, well, frankly, maybe you just don't want in those tabs. Also, we still have this 9th tab here, which I'm going to explain in a little bit, but we still don't want to use that one just yet. What we want to do now is go through tab 1 especially. You can go through each of them if you want, but you can also do that individually later. But what we want to do is go through tab 1 and grab the items that you don't want, that you don't need, that you never use. Ask yourself as you look at each of these items, do I use this even once a month? Do I use this item? Do I need this item? When was the last time I needed this item? When was the last time I even thought about this item? Did I even realize I had it in my bank? And if the answer to all of those is nope, then sell it. That's why you should do this at the Grand Exchange. As you can see, I'm at the Preferendus Grand Exchange, and you should also do this at the Grand Exchange. That way you're not just like dropping items on the ground, because you can lose a lot of money. In fact, I would bet that maybe not all of you, but I would bet at least a few of you have several hundred mil worth of junk sitting in your bank that you are unaware of. So go ahead and sell off everything in at least tab 1 that you don't really want or need, and then we will get into what to do with what's left. Alrighty, there we go. That took a little longer than I really expected it to, but that's also because I was finding things throughout this that I had missed earlier that needed to go in some of these tabs, so I was doing a little bit of that. I also went through every single one of the tabs and cleaned out a bunch of the items from there, but as you can see, I made about 24 mil off of that, about 24 and a quarter mil actually, and I still have some stuff in here selling. A lot of it's in for 1 GP. The pineapples are a little bit more, but they'll sell eventually, so about 24 mil GP from all that. That's not too shabby. We'll go ahead and dump that in with the rest of the cash. And yeah, so now that we've got this done, we can finally talk about tab number 9. Now, this one I wanted you guys to leave open because this is a catch-all tab. This is your junk tab. This is the tab that is kind of out of sight, out of mind, but this is the stuff that goes in to no other tab whatsoever. It only will fit into a completely separate tab that nothing fits in. This is still items you need, still items you might be using. Maybe it's quest items that don't really fit anywhere else. Maybe it's just something that you really, really want to keep for whatever reason. Maybe it has some sentimental value or something like that to it. All that goes into this tab. Now, do keep in mind that tab 1 is also a bit of a catch-all, although you really should try to keep tab 1 kind of clean, otherwise it gets to be really long and disgusting looking. So that's why you need a separate junk tab. That way, when you open your bank, the first thing you see is not a giant mess of stuff, and you only see this giant mess whenever you open your junk tab, and it's a really, really useful tab to have. So go ahead and just grab some of the items that don't really fit anywhere else and throw them in your junk tab, and you might even find a few more items that you've missed so far that fit into other tabs, or you might even find some items or tabs that you can combine. That way you have more space for tabs. So go ahead and do that, and I will see you on the other side. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've got my tab 1 nice and cleaned up now. I even went ahead and organized it. I also organized a couple of other tabs, as you can see. I've gone ahead and finished organizing some of those, but most of them are still just a giant pile of crap. But for now, we want to move on to the next step. Now the next step is, well, you can pretty much do the next few steps in whatever order you want, but the next step that I usually do is organize the way my tabs are going to be set up, organize their order since we do have all 9 of them now. Obviously, you can't move number 1, but you can move all these others. I personally go with this particular order. You guys can do whatever you want, but usually mine is tab 1, kind of holds all of my currencies, my auras, things like that. And then tab 2, of course, weapons. Tab 3 is armors. Tab 4 I always have as my teleports, my runes, things like that. Tab 5 is always my summoning tab. Tab 6 is always my my junk tab. And then tab 7 and tab 8, kind of, I can swap those two really, but I usually like tab 7 to be kind of my skilling tab. Tab 8, I'm going to go with being my clue scroll tab for now. I might change that later on, but I haven't really decided yet. And then, of course, tab 9, my potions and food. So now that we've got those done, let's move on to the next step, and that is organizing each specific tab, however you like to organize them. And once you get this done, we will move on to the final step. Alrighty, cool. We are finally done with that. And the main tab that took me a while was tab 3. Obviously, your tabs might be a little bit different than mine. Hopefully they've got a little less items in them. I've still got a huge amount of bank space left. In fact, I cleared out a shit ton of bank space. So there is that. But as we scroll through here ever so slowly, you guys can see just how organized I got my bank. It's looking much better. This tab here, tab 3, it's still a little disorganized, but it is more organized than it was by a long shot. But as I said earlier, we still have one step to go. This step is obviously not mandatory, none of this is, but if you want to keep your bank looking nice, this step is going to help you immensely. Now, I will say that for this step to work, you're going to have a fairly large cash pile. So this step is purely for your convenience. It's not something, like I said, that you have to do, but it does take a lot of cash. In fact, it takes so much cash that you'll have to buy everything that in your bank again. And that's just it. You have to buy 2 of every item in your bank, at least the items that you use constantly. If you are using something every day in and day out, it's always a good idea, in my opinion, to buy 2 of that item. Now, if it's a degradable item like Drygores or the Scythe or Ascensions or, T90 armors or something like that, even the next armors, anything that degrades, it might not be quite as good of an idea unless you're going to fix your stuff every time you bank, which can get kind of annoying, to be completely honest. But if it's something that doesn't degrade, say you're using T70s, that's your Armadillo, your Bandos, things like that. Instead of having to pull the things out of your bank, right here, there's my Armadillo. If I take that out, oh, look at that. Everything below that just gets out of order, and I have to drag it back over and drop it back in. If you have 2 of those, obviously I can't because they're lucky, but if you have 2 of those, whenever you pull one out, it's going to leave one in. Like right here with my fishing jacket, I can pull that one out. I can, in fact, pull 3 of them out, and it's still right there, so that whenever I put my stuff back in, it all stacks up neat and tidy and doesn't screw up my bank. So that's something that you can do. I personally only have, 99 mil. I've got another 100 mil stashed away somewhere in my bank, but at the moment, I don't really feel like I've got enough money to do that. At some point, I will end up doing that, buying 2 of basically everything in my bank. Obviously, you can see like I've got 2 cannons and 2 of each of my capes and things like that. And that really helps. In fact, there's some items that you can get 2 of that you're not really supposed to get 2 of. In here, as you can see, I've got 2 Crossy swords. I don't use the Crossy swords, but it is possible to get 2 of them. And that is the case with some items. Unfortunately, things like your Ring of Kinship, you can't get 2 of. But if you want to get some items like Crossy's sword, all you have to do is go up to the guy you buy it from, drop it on the ground, buy another one for 250k, pick the first one back up, and you have 2. And that's really all there is to it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it helped you clean your bank. And I really hope that you did clean your bank, because frankly, it will help you in the long run. Also, I found all these ghostly robes, so I decided to throw them back on. I'm going to actually drop them on the ground here in a bit, because I found out you can't sell them. So, rip. But, yeah. Also, I do want to mention that earlier in the video, I stated that this is going to save you a lot of time. There's a couple of other things that will save you a lot of time, and that is obviously your presets. Those are going to save you a lot of time. The search button can save you a lot of time, but I personally hate using the search button, as it does glitch out sometimes, and every time you open your bank, it'll be over here like, hey, what are you searching for? As soon as you open your bank, it's like, I'm not searching for anything. Leave me alone. But there's that. But let's say that you don't have a preset. Maybe you don't have enough presets to have a preset for everything, and you want to go, I don't know, do something that you don't have a preset for. What you would do is just scroll through your bank, grab what you need really, really quick, especially if you've got two. You can just grab, like, super, super quick, grab everything, and you're good to go because you know where everything's at because it's, you know, obviously organized. So there is that, and that will save you a shit ton of time over a long period of time, as long as you know, keep your bank organized and things like that. So there is that. The other thing I want to mention, guys, is that I do stream on Twitch pretty much daily. And if you guys would like to jump over to Twitch, there's a link in the description. I'm live over there pretty much 8 to 12 hours a day, daily. Usually it's at night. I live in the CST time zone, Central Standard Time, and you guys can catch me over there pretty much all the time. I will be making more YouTube videos every now and then, but this is one that needed to get done really, really badly due to, well, my bank being disgusting. I also cleaned out my Hardcore Iron Man's bank not too long ago, so there's that as well. But yes, thank you guys for watching. You're amazing. I love you all, and have a good one.